this is going to be the ride number one, of course. What's up, Speedy's Garage gang? Welcome back to the Speedy's Garage YouTube channel. Obviously today we are not at Speedy's Garage. As part of the CDM stuff I did a while back, I got a 2-day performance driving school certificate for Radford. And so we are out in Phoenix, and this weekend I'm going to be doing that driving school, and I'm hoping they'll let me film a little bit of it. I don't know how much, but we're going to try. So we're here, we're headed over to the same place that I actually stayed when we were filming Chief Donut Maker. It's the Wild Horse Pass Saloon and Casino. Pretty interesting place, but we're headed there now. Check it out. And I rented an SUV, wasn't sure what I was gonna get, but they said we'd get an upgrade. Got a BMW, it's an X3. And I thought it was kind of a dog at first. I was like, man, this thing kind of sucks. Then I found the sport button. Here's a room, kind of cool. They require you to put a card in it for electricity, kind of a green thing. And this is not at all like the room I stayed in before with Chief Donut Maker. This room is probably 3 times the size at least. Super nice big bathroom. Hello.
And you got me.
Hey, hey. Super nice, even like a makeup area, like I would use that. And the best part is this view. Look at that. It's got a wraparound balcony. I mean, heck yeah. Right over there's a racetrack. Yeah. Much, much nicer.
I don't want a failure. I don't expect to have a failure. All right. And again, that's why we got backups too. So if something goes wrong, let me know. I get you another car, or let's say, you know, over here I say, hey, head over to the shop. I'll meet you there. They're gonna, you know, put a tire on it, something like that. So we kind of know where this is. But again, these guys just have a daunting task of working on these things and making sure that they're ready for me to drive every single morning and ready for you guys to drive every single morning. It's safe, it's right, it's exactly what it's supposed to be. All right, so this is the F4 race car that we have. When I started here, we had a Formula car. It was a Formula 4. It was a 100 horsepower, 2-chassis race car. A lot of fun to drive, but it was very vintage, all right, when I started. All right. Then we evolved into a Formula Mazda race car. In racing, that is what you're absolutely looking for, is to be safe. And, you know, back in the era of racing, it was things, you know, a driver died, you know, every race or every couple of races, and that obviously sucks.
So this is going to be the ride number one, of course. Got our car all set up, got some gauges I can keep an eye on, make sure we don't get into any weird temperatures. Ready to rock and roll. Starting off with a slalom. Nice easy 25 mile an hour, but we're going to be building up, so this is probably about the only one I can actually film because the rest of the time I'll be hanging on. So we've eased up and now we're at about 40 mile an hour on the slalom. So these cars, actually, for as heavy as they are, handle really, really well. Now they're wide bodies, so they got wider tires on them, but they taught us that you can't just pendulum it back and forth. You turn and then pause straight, and then turn and then pause straight, and it allows the car to kind of balance itself again. So very helpful too. Not a single cone murder.
skidded and drifted, and there's so much tire rubber down, you can hardly see the white lines.
it smoother if you can't get the wheel back quick enough.
That makes sense.
But that's it, really. Just keep it going, and you can feed it back.
We're getting some instruction on drifting.
That's it. And again, on the extreme, if you're getting really crazy and you didn't bring all the wheel back out, then it's really gonna kick.
Figure 8. Keep it going.
Turn. Look at the green cone. Just let it slide. Let it slide through your fingers. There you go. Off the gas. Let it catch. Bring it over.
All right, we're back for day 2 at Radford for the 2-day driving, performance driving school. Had a good time yesterday. Skid car, a couple of slaloms, some evasive maneuvering, learning how ABS actually allows you to maneuver the car on hard braking. That's, we learned that that's what it's actually designed to do. You don't want to just brake and pray is what they kind of call it. You actually want to control the car as you're braking to avoid an obstacle, things like that. We're about to do some more performance braking exercises where we're learning what the cones mean, the 3, the 2, the 1, presumably so that when we get on the racetrack, we understand the braking zones coming into a corner, how to get maximum slow down of the car, get the suspension loaded up. I'm learning a lot of this. Throttle and brake are about weight control in the car, getting the car the weight where you want it, on which set of tires you want the weight on. Sometimes you want it on the back, use the throttle obviously, sometimes you want it on the front, you use the brake, and then coming out of the corner to hit the apex. So the braking is going to be to line you up to get to the apex as fast as possible. So we're about to do a couple of exercises where we just jam on the brakes at different cone 3, 2, 1s and from 65 miles an hour and try to stay off the ABS. And then we're going to do what they call the ABS box test, where we actually have to drive into a box of cones and steer out of it. So that's what we're about to do today.
Okay. Again, you build the speed. Manual transmission cars will be in 2nd gear. The brake marker right here, the first one, the 3. All right, then we've got the 2, then we've got the 1. All right, each of these are going to be where you begin braking from that, let's say 65 miles an hour.
So again, one of the first things that we learned or talked about this morning is that linear brake pressure. So you want to keep it nice and constant and smooth between the 3 cones and the 1 cone. And what you want to do is trail the brakes into the corner. So our brake pressure here should be linear. Our focus should be on the apex. And as we turn and the front wheels go through, we're just going to release that pressure. And then right in here is that moment of zen where you're just going to let the car roll for a little bit, ensure you're getting down to the apex, and then from the apex out, now we begin to accelerate. So the thing about this is we got 2 different corners, even though they're both 180 degree, they're set up slightly different, so we have to change our timing and duration. So just looking at it, I'm going to pull up over here, is we're able to see the turn-in gate and the apex right in front of us. So in theory, we should be super efficient. So as we come off the corner, we're going to accelerate up. At the 3 cone, we're going to set that brake pressure. Vision shifts to the apex, turn, release. I'm now all the way off, and now I can begin to accelerate as I unwind the wheel. You can pass on the inside. No, I'm just kidding. So there is no passing on this exercise.
So afternoon of day 2, and now we're working on a little bit of autocross, which is a lot of fun. In a quite heavy car, believe it or not, they actually do really well, at least from my perspective. Now, it's no go-kart by any means, but it sure is fun.
thing. It's forcing us not to turn in early because everybody naturally wants to turn in really, really early. We see red and white curbing and we think, yes, I'm going there, right? Sometimes that's the right scenario. In a corner like turn number 4 here, and this is where you'll see the fire station over here, so fire station corner. This is one of those corners where if you turn in early and kind of run along the curbing here, you also exit the corner early. If I turn in early, I exit early. This corner is decreasing radius, it tightens up. This edge of the track comes up really, really fast if you're not careful, right? So make sure that you're taking a nice wide arc here. That turning gate, it's helping us to stay disciplined and to make what we would call a late apex, right? We're coming down to the inside very, very late in that corner to ensure that we stay on the asphalt.
Well, we're out on Maricopa. It's the loop here at Radford. Trying to put in some hot laps. Okay, so sort of the last exercise of the day is lead follow. We're following a lead instructor around the entire track. So I thought I'd finish this video off from the balcony of our room here at the Wild Horse. I guess we got kind of lucky. Not everybody got one that had the wraparound balcony on it. I bet our room it's probably 800 to 1,000 square feet, so it's pretty good size. Radford Racing School, man, I really wasn't sure what to expect. I've done racing schools, which were really more driving experiences than anything else. It was, I've done a couple of them on track days and whatnot, and they really just turned into, you get to drive a bunch of different cars. You don't really learn anything. You're just driving the car around with an instructor or maybe following an instructor. You might learn a little bit, following their line or whatever. But this deal, if you can swing it, I definitely recommend the 2-day. One of the instructors put it really well. He said you did most of your learning on day 1 when you went back to your room and it kind of soaked in. And when you came back on day 2, your brain sort of had time to process that information in the background, and it makes you much more effective when you come back on day 2. That's the first thing I'll recommend. The second thing is, they didn't play around. Like, we didn't spend a bunch of time sitting in a classroom. We maybe, for the whole 2-day, total time in the classroom was maybe an hour. maybe. It might have been an hour and 20 minutes, but it was almost, and it was broken up in like 20-minute chunks. So I don't even remember being in the classroom more than like once or twice. The entire rest of the entire 2 days, we were in the car driving. So that was another really nice thing, is you spent a ton of time behind the wheel, which is why you're at a racing school to begin with. You know, like you can get theory and chalkboard or whiteboard, you know, demonstration and all that, but you don't really get it until you do it. And they kind of cut you loose on this thing. They would train you and then sort of give you enough rope to hang yourself with. If you wanted to run those red eyes in red key mode, you know, 797 horsepower and try to go through the autocross, they would let you. Now, of course, you would murder a bunch of cones, and you were much more effective if you dialed that back down to 500, but that was your choice. I actually ran mine in 500 most of the time because it made the car easier to control in the precision that they were asking from us. It wasn't just like at the drag strip where you can use all the horsepower you got. Sometimes I would flip it to 797 just to kind of get a feel for it, but it made things really really difficult. The car was a little more unhappy, and it gets hotter. And that's another thing I'll mention, is we drove the wheels off of these cars for hours at a time. And it was 97 degrees. That's what my little dash thing, thermometer said, 97 degrees, and the cars never skipped a beat. So those things really stand up to some abuse, and I was very, very surprised. We didn't have to let them cool down. We were hot lapping them. We did this one exercise where we went down, and it was a gear change exercise, and if you had a manual, they were teaching you heel toe, and most of the cars aren't manual anymore. I was in an automatic. I thought about doing a manual, but I chose the automatic because that's what I have, and I wanted to know what my car could be capable of at home. So that's why I drove the automatic. But on the gear change exercise, they taught you to come into a turn and match the RPM of the car to the speed of the car. So we had some cones as indicators, and you would downshift and not let the car go, wow, you know, it would just sort of nice and keep everything planted. So they taught us that. And in that exercise, I did flip it to 797 because we would go around a white cone and go back the other direction, and we were hauling. I mean, wide open for probably 1/8 of a mile, upshifting and downshifting, and we did that for about 30 minutes. And the car just, you know, bebopped along, no big deal, didn't have any trouble. I had some gauges up, kind of keeping an eye on temperatures and stuff. And again, 98 degrees outside, beating on the car. The highest coolant temp I saw was like 220. And the fans would kick on high, and it would drop it back down to like 208. Remember, they're all stock. They don't have 180 degree thermostats or anything in them. So anyway, back to Radford. If you can swing it, I highly recommend it. The 2-day was amazing. I have learned a ton about car control, and I really understand now these Hellcats are capable of way more than I thought they were in terms of like road course work. At the end of the day, we got to do 10 laps of the entire Radford track in what they call lead and follow. And we had an instructor, and there were 3 students behind him, and he gradually sped the car up as we went around the entire track. Really, really awesome to be able to push those cars, and seeing him do it gave me confidence to know I could do it. So I just tried to stay as close to his bumper as I could, and I did. And I don't know, I turned the speedometer off. I had it on intercooler, I had it on intake air temperature on the dash, so I wouldn't be tempted to look down to see how fast I was going, but we were hauling the mail. 10 out of 10. Radford Racing. Instructors were awesome, super laid back, made things a relaxing environment, no stress at all, and we just all really had a good time. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Be sure to check us out on Instagram. It's @Speedys_garage, as well as the website, www.speedysgarage.net. Hopefully I see you out there. It was great to also hang out with most of the folks I got to do Chief Donut Maker with. Some pool and after hour stuff, I didn't film any of that because, you know, not everybody's comfortable being filmed in their bathing suit or whatever, but awesome to hang out with them. Now we got to get back to Nashville.